Bring in more revenue while saving money and differentiate yourself from the rest of the pack vying to win those guests by becoming more environmentally friendly. We will show you how easy it is and how cheap it can be, if not free, and share all the opportunities available. So join us each week as we take another step along the green path. That's one more step to differentiate yourself from the rest of the pack. The Green Path podcast is kindly sponsored by Sustonica, the first sustainability recognition for vacation rental homes. What if vacation rental professionals could influence millions of travellers to make their own homes more sustainable? Show the world that you have taken steps to make your vacation rental consume less and get your badge on sustonica.com. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Green Path podcast. I'm sure you've all been part of a discussion about what to do with food that's been left by your guests. What about additional beach supplies or books and magazines? How much can we keep, and do we throw or give away the rest? And if you can't give it away, are you relying on your cleaners to do that? Well, today my guest will explain what she has set up and how you too can do the same no matter where you are. My guest today is Diane from Vacation Donations. Hello, Diane. How are you?
Hey, Deborah. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for coming along today. Diane, I usually start the episode with asking about your own personal journey. How and when did your personal sustainability journey start?
Probably when I was a young girl and had my showers timed by my father, which I did not like. But I do think that my family was very, I guess you could say frugal without really needing to be, but they were very conscious of using things. And so then as I became an adult and just environmental awareness, I just don't personally like to waste things. And I find that, for a while, I'm a journalist for work, and I used to write a lot about objects, like design objects and art objects. And I would buy some things. I was surrounded by things, and I would often think, oh, I have to have this. And then I would buy it. And then finally, I got into the mentality of just things you like, just look at them and appreciate them. You don't have to buy them. And so what I found was I went from someone, I would say in my 30s, who liked to collect things to just, I don't want anything. I don't want to buy anything. I reuse things. My friends now, they come over, I'm like, you still have the same couch from 30 years ago? Like, of course. Why would I get a new couch if I don't need it? So I just found that I really got turned off to buying things in general. And not that I don't appreciate things, I like to look at them, but I think that's just the way I am now. And that has boiled over into many aspects of my life, including my very old cars, etc.
You're including your what, sorry?
My very old cars. Yeah. So I live in two countries. That's my only excess in my life. I live in the Netherlands and I live in the US and Florida. And I have a car in each country, but they're each 20 years old. So I don't really feel too bad about that.
We have become very much a consumer. Everything's about consumerism. And with consumerism comes a lot of waste. So I think,
so much waste.
Yeah, we have to sort of push back on this. I need the latest and greatest, and I've already got something. Why do I need to buy another one? Why do I need to upgrade? And I have the same thoughts. I stopped a long time ago buying stuff, and my friends think, you're still wearing the same clothes. Why not? Why do I need
Not only do I wear the same, half of them are hand-me-downs from my very fashionable friends. So, yeah.
So can you tell us about Vacation Donations? How did that get started? What's it all about?
Yeah, so that really was an organic process that started with my own and my feelings of waste. So when I'm not at my home in Florida, which is in a coastal community, I rent it out, short-term rentals, vacation rentals. And what I found was, so in the winter time, I'm now there in the winter, but when I wasn't, I would have people staying for quite a long time. But regardless of how long they're staying, they buy things.
Mm.
And so whenever I go back, like let's say I've been away for half a year and I have a garage and I have kitchen cabinets, people leave all these things. They leave a lot of food. And they buy things and they just, there's just a lot of stuff. And so one year, it's always a little overwhelming when I first go back, and I had all these things and I almost, including the food, I almost threw it all away. I was literally at my trash can because I just wanted it all gone.
Mm.
And then I stopped myself, like, what are you doing? You don't throw things away. This is not right. So I live in a small community. It's called Indian Rocks Beach. There's only like 3,500 residents. So it's very small, but we have quite a lot of facilities and things. And I knew that we had a food pantry that serves the area, not just the beach, but the whole greater area. But I didn't know the hours. I didn't know how to donate food. And then as I started looking into all the things that I had that I wanted to donate, I found that there were actually a lot of resources that were super easy close by. And like the pantry has very wonky hours, but they actually have a bin that's there 24/7 that you can put non-perishables in.
Mm-hmm.
And the library takes used books and they sell them. And there's also, we have this wonderful program called Take a Toy, Leave a Toy, and it's bins right at the beach accesses, because a lot of people, they fly in, they come with children, and they buy all these plastic toys.
Yeah.
And then they just leave them or literally throw them away. Plastic, so much plastic. And so now we have these bins at 6 different beach points. We would like to get more, where you can just drop things off. And so I took, people had left plastic beach things at my house. Way more than, I keep some things for guests, but I didn't need that many. I didn't have the space. So I took those to the bins. A little kid came and got something right when I dropped it off. It was so wonderful.
Mm.
And then a lot of the food, like non-perishables that hadn't been opened, things like pancake mix that I will never use, things like that, rice.
Mm.
So I took all that to the pantry, took the books to the library. And I took some clothing to a drop off that was very close, like a mile away.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I realized is that if I didn't I've been connected to this beach community and in the area for decades. But I hadn't lived year round there for a long time. But I thought, if I don't know where all these drop offs are, a lot of other people won't either.
Mm.
And so let me compile it all and put all the information under a website, which I call vacationdonations.org.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided to in a way use my little beach community as a microcosm test to see if I could get more things donated from vacation rentals. But also to try to get the word out of the idea in a broader way.
Yeah.
So what I have done is so I do have this website and it's resources. So sometimes people think I'm going to come and collect everything, which I'm not, but I do try to facilitate that happening. So I'm trying to get so a lot of our travelers, we call them snowbirds, are there for the whole winter, and they amass a lot of things.
Mm.
And so that's part of it. But even people who are there for a week get a lot of food.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of families, like I just saw I'm part of a Facebook group just for my greater beach community that a lot of tourists use. And someone wrote in, she was coming to the area from somewhere. She's flying in with like 20 family members, they're staying in different places. She said, where can we order groceries before we get there? And this is what happens a lot. They order the groceries online, they go in and they pick them up. So when you're ordering online, you're just sort of picking everything. Like, oh, we might need this and this and this. And then half the time they end up going out and they end up with a lot of food left over. So I posted something like, before you leave, let me know and I'll help you distribute that food. Just tell them where to go or find other people.
Yeah.
So, the other thing that I hope to do in the future, I mean, it's it's something that I need to reach out to more people. But so my community is just one small community. And because I think it's super important when you're dealing with tourists and the owners and the property managers to make things very easy. So I'm not going to ask someone to drive 6 miles to donate something. They will not do that. So each community, so what I'm doing with my website is there's a place where I can host a different community. And it's really just a resource page for people. And so then it'll have a distinct URL. So let's say, Ocean City, New Jersey has a page. Doesn't even matter where they are. They can just send that link out. And I can also make refrigerator magnets. And it just gives the resources. And those can be updated. In the end, it's something that someone has to go and do themselves, whether it's the owner, the property manager, the vacationer, or just a community member.
It's a commitment.
That's really, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I've seen it, it has inspired people to do things. And so I want to do more of that. For instance, one woman who's a condo president, they have, it's not a large, it's like 15 units, and they do allow some vacation rentals. She got my magnets, refrigerator magnets I have, and then did a little write-up for all her owners, just saying, here's what this program is. That's kind of the, the least someone can do. It doesn't, there's no guarantee anyone will pay attention to it. Another condo person in a very large building, they have now put a food donation basket in their lobby for vacation. That's the sort of thing that I'm really trying to inspire. To get each person to be aware of, I do care about all the waste, but of course the food to me is the most important because people can really use that. Just to get people to think about vacation rentals. They don't, it's something that usually people don't realize how much food is bought and then has to be thrown out.
How are you getting your message to the other property owners? Are you trying to target them direct, or are you relying on the condo managers?
It's a work in progress. So it's a lot of work. I do a lot on Facebook because we do have this incredibly robust Facebook page for the beach community that people who come to the area for 2 weeks, they stay on this Facebook group for years because they like our beach so much, and maybe they don't have a lot to do. I don't know. So I post there a lot. There's a lot of locals on there as well. I do some outreach actions. One of the things that I did that I hope that I will be doing more of soon is I had a food drive at one building on one Saturday, because that's the day that most people check out. And I basically ambushed people going from the elevator to the parking lot. So they had to go by me when they were checking out. And I asked them if they had food. I had put up signs, but no one reads signs when they're on vacation, right? I got probably from 12 people, only 12 groups who were checking out, 35 bags of food. They would have thrown away.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And they were all so excited to see me. And other people who were coming off the elevator and saw me who weren't checking out said, "Oh, we're leaving tomorrow. Will you be here tomorrow?" I'm like, "No, sorry. It's, it's now or never." But that, and then I posted that in a lot of social, and that really was very eye-opening to me for 2 reasons. One, that was one building, 12 people. There were probably like hundreds of people checking out just in our little beach community alone on that very day. But it also showed me that unless you make it really easy, people aren't going to do anything.
And
but so
even providing the resources for the travelers to say, this is a food pantry. It could be, if they're driving, it could be on their way. So at least then they have peace of mind that they're going to contribute this food instead of throwing it away.
I mean, it's totally on their way.
But it's also providing the resources for them.
Yeah, exactly. But I've also learned that people on vacation, they're very busy thinking about their vacation. And so you really have to be kind of anti-waste person in general to go out of your way. So let me address the leave it for the cleaners, because this comes up a lot. And I just want to add that I'm slowly working my way through different property management groups. I feel like the people that I've seen who have cared the most are actually community members who are invested in the community. And they're the ones who will help bridge the donations. The vacationers themselves, it's hit or miss. And I have found that in general, so far, most of the property owners and many of the managers don't seem to care. They care. A lot of the owners are in short-term rentals to make money, and they really just don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So what a lot of people say who are owners, well, just in general, I leave it for the cleaner. So here's what I say to that. If you have talked to your cleaner and you know the cleaner wants it, and you hope they're doing something with it, great, you have a solution. But when I first started getting the word out about this, I got a lot of press in the general media. I heard from several cleaners, they don't want it. They don't need it. It's too much. If you're in, let's take Florida, for instance, your car gets up to like 130 degrees Fahrenheit in your car, unless you have a cooler and you can put all these things in the cooler, and then you go home and you have like maybe 3 refrigerators to store it in.
Yeah.
It's not practical. Yeah. I mean, just think that in 2 hours from 12 people, I got 35 bags of food. Yeah. I couldn't have taken that even if I had wanted it. Yeah. So there's that. But I do think if there's a system where give it to the cleaner works, great. But in general, just saying that, I think is a cop-out. Yeah. And the other definitely, and this is just in the food retrieval world in general, is there's perishables, non-perishables. Perishables are a lot more difficult. Most pantries don't take perishables, and then they need to be unopened. So there's a lot of issues around that. There's also a lot of workarounds where, like, I'm now looking into having what's called a community refrigerator. It's just one refrigerator, but it's something where people can take things. They cannot be opened, but at least they can be perishable. Yeah. When I was taking things for my little trial donation period, which I did 2 times last year, I worked it out with a pantry in the area where they would take perishables, and they were waiting for me. They knew, and we had it all arranged, and that was great. And that's what I want. So one of the things that I hope to do this year is, our high tourist season is in the middle of March, have as many, obviously with help, but have as many, because it's usually the condo buildings that have a lot, but anyway, have as big of a food drive as possible directed at short-term rentals, at vacation rentals on a given day, and really get the word out and see how much we can get. I think it'll be eye-opening for a lot of people, and might encourage them to do more of that, because they get excited when they see food saved. Yeah. When you say you've got the fridge magnet, what is on there? Are you explaining? I mean, you're saying that travelers don't really care. They're on holiday. But is there something you can put within the property that says, leftover food, don't throw it away, drop it in here, because you're right, the cleaner can't take it. They're running off to their next job, car gets hot, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So unless it's the owner or the property manager, it is up to the guest. Now, is there a way you can convince the guest that, do the right thing almost, don't throw it away. Here is an address for somewhere to drop the food on your way out. Right. Besides the fridge magnet, is there something else maybe? So two things I would say for the guest, and then also the property owner and manager can do a lot, but they have to be personally committed as well. So the fridge magnet, is really, as I say to everyone, it's not magic, it's just a magnet. It has my tagline is after a stay, give it away. And then there's a QR code. So if they're curious, they look at the QR code goes to the website. Then I also have a note that I distribute. It's also on my website, I have tips for sort of every party involved. So for the traveler, for a community member, and also for property manager owner. So one of the tips that I give to property managers is just put one sentence in your checkout information. You have that on a get save anyway, you're just copy pasting, and just say, if you have leftovers, all they have to do is in my case, go to my website, and it's all there. So I'm trying to get them to do that. Now, if they really want to go the extra mile, which is great, they can have their own little donation basket and say, leave things here and we'll donate it for you. One property management company does in fact put notes on the refrigerator, and it says, you can leave everything for the cleaners. Now, I haven't talked to them yet to know really but they consider it a perk. I do know they consider it a perk of the job for the cleaners, but again, I'm not sure that the cleaners feel that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's really, it's so easy to put that. So in my own personal checkout information, I have someone staying there right now, then they're only there for 3 days, so I may not do it. But in general, I always put that in there.
Yeah. Well, also in a lot of the digital guidebooks, like we touched there, for example, you can actually put it in your guidebook to say that not only are you doing this and that, whatever, for your property to make it more sustainable, but in terms of your stay, how can we make your stay more sustainable too? By collecting your food, by collecting your beach supplies that you're going to leave, instead of throwing it all in the bin on your way out.
Yeah.
Come up with a solution and how to recycle that. I love the idea of those baskets on the beach, or the
I know.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And one of the things that I'm trying to do in my city is, one thing, get more of those, because we have several beach access points. And the other, and again, you have to get the word out about this if I'm able to do it, is to have like a large, say, wire or steel container that can hold used umbrellas, chairs, coolers. People buy these styrofoam coolers, and styrofoam takes about forever to break down. And then that can be recycled. And then people know they can go there and get them. And but I'm not there yet. We got slammed with some effects of a hurricane a few weeks ago. So now that's distracting everyone. But I do have a note into them that I'll keep following up on, because I really would like to see. I know that Telluride did that with ski equipment. And the challenge is someone has to go in and, just like when you have a group refrigerator at work, there's always people who the moldy stuff stays unless someone cleans it up. So someone has to be in charge. But I think there's just so much that can be done that's really not that difficult to do.
Yeah, I think people need to get their heads around either doing it as an area, as a region, as a building, as a community, something, then have a focus and all work together and have the resources. There's actually a company that runs around and takes out people's rubbish bins every week or after every stay. And it's actually a business in doing the food runs, collecting the food in, like, there's no money in it, but it's a great idea to bring all of this stuff to be recycled, and maybe take the pressure off the guests to do it. But, at the same time, it's not exactly a big ask anyway. Yeah.
I know it's not, and it is. And I think that's really the challenge. But, I appreciate that you mentioned, because we have those trash collecting people, and maybe I can contact them and maybe they'd be interested in sort of doing a little good on the side. We'll see.
I mean, look, as a property manager, if I'm paying for the rubbish to be taken out, what's a little bit more to become a bit greener? Instead, and you are doing the good thing for the guest, like, we will give your excess food away. Now I've had guests say, like, what do we do with the leftover food? And years ago. I was like, well, I don't know. My cleaners take it. And it was a team of 4 women. So I'm assuming that they could all divvy it up amongst them, and they're not getting food. They weren't doing holiday rental cleaning for anyone else. So, maybe that was a little bit of a for them. But I hadn't actually, years ago, I hadn't actually thought about all that. We usually only had slabs of beer left over. So
yeah, my joke is always, I'll take the booze, you can have the rest.
They were like, yeah, you can leave that. We'll look after that one.
But it's true what you say about, and I have talked to people about, let's say the cleaners, you paid them extra to take it to the pantry. Because some people have said, well, the cleaners should be doing it. And I'm like, they're not being paid enough anyway. They're certainly not going to go the extra mile. But if you give them some money to do that, then that's why not.
And maybe they factor that into the time taken for the cleaning of your property. They drive to potentially the food pantry. They're not running between the jobs, frantically, I can't drop it off yet. It'd be a really nice idea to incorporate.
Right.
Make it part of your operations with the cleaner, and they get paid extra. And you never know, the cleaner might be a bit of a greenie and say, I'll do it anyway, it's on my way. So that's nice.
As we all know, anyone who works in sustainability, part of it really is just a personal desire. Yeah. Unless someone's really getting a monetary something from it. Yeah, I think it's a hard ask in general, especially in the vacation. You've got sustainability in general, then you've got vacations. It raises the bar, but everything worth doing is going to be challenging, and so I'm keeping at it.
Yeah, it's tricky
exciting.
Subject. It's a tricky subject to sell to everyone in this industry. However, I think those that are moving ahead now, they're going to be the front runners, because it's going to become, I won't say compulsory, mandatory maybe, but there's going to be something.
It might.
And you've got to jump on now. Yeah. You were talking before about owners, managers, and travelers. On your website or somewhere I read that if you are into sustainability, you live cleanly, or you want to live more cleanly, you as a traveler can also be inspiring the property that you're booking to stay in for a vacation or business travel or something. You need to be also asking that owner, what are they doing? What can I do with food? And maybe, inspiring them to do something as well.
Because if it becomes something just like maybe not to the level of, do you have fast Wi-Fi? But nonetheless, if it becomes something that is seen as a perk, then or something that people expect, then it will become industry standard. And also, places like Airbnb could have it on their little checklist of filters or whatever.
Yeah. Look, if you're being sustainable at home and you're recycling your rubbish, and you go to a holiday rental, vacation rental, and there's one bin, oh, come on, it's like we have to lift the game a little bit, the recycle bins. And offering this is like, for someone who doesn't like waste, to come into a property and see that this is where you can take your food, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, wow, this is great. It's the icing on the cake. That's a really lovely resource to give your travelers.
Yeah, great.
Very nice.
And so I'm just in the beginning phases, but we'll see how it goes.
So just to recap though, so if someone wants to start their community, they're going to find their food drive, their food pantry and the places, they can contact you and have their own page on your website. So it explains what vacation donations are, but their link is for their community. That's right?
If they want, obviously they can do their own thing. And I make no money from this, but they could have, for instance, vacationdonations.org/your town.
Yeah.
And then when people go to that, all I would do is host one page of resources for donation.
Yeah.
But then they would have that URL, and they could even, they could have a QR code that goes to that goes to the URL. So if they wanted to do messaging, which is that way, they could do that too. Or they can look at what I've done and say, hey, we're going to do exactly what she's doing somewhere else, but we're going to use our own name. Do not use my name. But
it's all for a good cause. It's all great.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's why, I don't of course, I would love to have vacation donations become a household word and that people would know what it is and
expect
do it everywhere.
Mm.
Expect it, and it can go from town to town. But more important to me is that people take these practices and use them however works for their community or in their lives. If I've, just touched on a few of those things for someone, then that's great.
And, you were talking about beach supplies, but you also touched on ski. So, whatever the community is, there's going to be something that, or sometimes things that your guests buy and don't necessarily want to take with them. So is there a way you can recycle it? Because you're right, your garage ends up full. How much can you keep, So, yeah.
Right. And if it's whatever it is in that community, other people are going to want the same things of whatever it is. And also, and then there's the food, because that is the thing with short-term rentals. People buy food usually to cook there or to prepare there. And it really is difficult. I mean, I generally travel by car, but I'm going to be going to Puerto Rico in a few months, and I have an Airbnb, and I'm already thinking, like, what am I going to do with the food? But see, I'm thinking, and I'll find out, and I'll do something with it.
Yeah, yes. Well, when you're in the Netherlands, when you're not in the Netherlands, do you have a property in the Netherlands that you rent to?
No, it's my primary home, and my partner is here longer than I am. So, it may be down the line we will, but it's not in a touristy place at all. It's not like anywhere near Amsterdam. So, I don't know. We'll see. But that's not the model for now.
Yeah. In terms of sustainability, in Europe and in America, do you see any differences? Are you aware of any differences?
Yes, I mean the recycling is crazy here. We have in the Netherlands there's so many different bins for this and that. There's still, which I love, there's still the problem of the recycling doesn't always work the way it should. And like in my town, things were being burned in the incinerator for months, and this happens everywhere. Recycling is very challenging for a lot of reasons, but in general, it's definitely better. The taxes are super high on travel, so people don't drive as much at all. Then we have amazing bicycle infrastructure in the Netherlands. So there's just a lot more incentives to do things sustainably. The emissions are really looked at, in the benchmarks and the rules lead up to those if we have a goal of doing something. For instance, in Florida, in my county, one thing that's very helpful, this would be like the regional government, of which there are 22 or so towns in this region. There is, which I've just found out after starting Vacation Donations, a zero landfill goal by 2050. Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But so what I see is that the county has this, and they're doing some incentives, but are all the little towns doing it? Not really. So we'll see but that is great fuel for me to tell people that we have this goal. And so, so I think that it's definitely a lot more difficult in the US, but also not to say that the Netherlands is perfect, because I see tons of waste here, tons of packaged foods, and they pack it. I don't know how they do in France, but here, every bit of produce is in its own cellophane. Do you have that? Like,
no.
If you buy peppers, they're in cellophane.
Not here.
It's crazy. Like, just give me some peppers.
Yeah. I know what it's like. I know in the UK it's particularly bad. You just want to buy one and you have to buy a packet of 3. Here in France, it's much better. There's very plastic. I don't have a plastic bag at home. Sometimes I just want to throw a bit of chicken bones or something, and I don't want like I don't have any plastic bags here. Even the bag when you buy your vegetables, it's a paper bag. It's brilliant.
I'll send you some. I bring plastic bags from the US and keep them here exactly for that. Sometimes you need a plastic bag to throw something gross in.
Yeah. Well, that's reusing, isn't it? One thing that I also read on your website was, okay, we have damaged towels, we have damaged
Right.
blankets, it's like, oh, what have the guests done? What do you do with those, right? That's usually something that's
Right.
like, oh, I don't know what to do with it, throw it in the bin. Animal
Animal shelters.
shelters. Yes.
Yeah. And hardly damaged. You know how it is in a vacation rental. You have one little fleck of something, you can't use it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, that's the other thing. So
Yeah.
it's,
But
definitely
you know
good
what? Even
to
if it has got a big fat tear in it, the dog's not going to mind. Or that animal that, it gets
No,
to lie on it
definitely
is not
not.
going to mind. So things like
Right.
that to remind property managers that, really everything that you think you're going to throw out, it can be used elsewhere. So it's like, it'll be really good to make everyone just think about what are they throwing away and what
Yeah.
is cleaner really taking and using and not throwing out the front when you're not looking. Now we're going to start winding up. Is there anything else that we haven't touched on yet that you think we should know?
Not that I can think of, but I do hope that interested people will go to my website. There's just a lot of resources on there. I've also written about some successes that other places have had. They're not many because I don't think there's a lot of awareness. But I think that if someone would look at the site, it would trigger ideas in their own community because, like you said, we talked about, it's very specific to a community. And I am totally happy to talk to anyone and brainstorm ideas with them to see what might work. My goal is to make it as easy and convenient as possible for everyone. That's the only way it will work.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll pop the URL in the description below.
Okay.
If you have any questions for Diane, please do pop them in the comments below. And Diane, it has been a pleasure learning about vacation donations.
Same to you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Diane. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Are you ready to start on your own Green Path journey? Why not take a look at the Green Step program? This has been tailor-made to take you step by step down the green path. You only see one step at a time, and that's all you focus on. Before you know it, you've gone down the path. To learn more, just head to thegreenpathpodcast.com.